Hello and welcome. This is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. This channel evaluates all aspects of true crime. As you are aware, videos and live streams in this genre often discuss elements of crime that may be disturbing to some viewers. If necessary, take the precautions needed to avoid these feelings. Factual information related to cases is the key to fostering rational true crime discussions. Fortunately, you will find that here. Please hit the like button only once, share the video, and subscribe if you like my content. Thank you very much for watching.
What's going on, freaks? There's no, I don't have the camera on there. Alright, well. Yeah, all kinds of new documents have come out. So try not to, throw in comments in the comment section until we've gone over those particular things. All right, Jack? All right, very cool. So anyways, we have a bunch of different, it's crazy. I mean, look at what happened for me though. Watch this. So when you're using the Idaho, this website, Chrome, oh, now they're there. Okay, that's amazing. They didn't show up for about an hour after the Firefox, which is absolutely crazy. It's just bizarre. I was looking all day, and I even have a screenshot where it's, not that you really give a damn about that, but it's just bizarre. So Firefox, all these new ones came in, so there's a whole bunch of new documents right there. And, so I'm going to have a lot of different content coming out here, coming up. Now, we've always known, I've been saying it for a long time, that he bought a K-bar on Amazon, all right? All right. Oh, that was the previous video. Let's see where we at now. 3,800 views. That's not too bad, I guess. All right, so I don't even really want to go over the text message again. Do you guys want to? We can really quick if you want to. It's just sort of, it is interesting that they weren't really just sleeping. Not that it means anything. To me, it doesn't mean a damn thing. Let me do this by list. Yeah, so here's the text messages again. So this one was put out by the defense team. And, the newer information is like right around in here. I guess this guy, the EG person here, is the Uber driver. And then at 2:53, Madison Mogan calls Bethany Funk, which it's like that phone call, I wonder if she said, hey, can you try calling Jack too? Because that's right when Kaylee and Madison were doing that, trying to call Jack, Kaylee's boyfriend, all right? Hey, Jack, let us go over the case ourselves here. I'll have to time you out if you keep spamming the chat. Okay, you're not ahead of anybody. It just takes a while to get a show going. All right, so we got 2:53. Madison Mogan calls Bethany Funk, and then 3:51. Dylan Mortensen creates a new contact in her phone. Somehow that's nefarious to somebody. Do you think that somebody who is really talking to a nefarious person is going to put a new contact of that person in their phone? There's nothing nefarious about that. Dylan Mortensen creates a new contact in her phone. So what? And then at 4:19:07, Bethany Funk calls Dylan Mortensen. So that's after. So between 3:51, that's when. So it looks like Dylan, she didn't get awoken at 4 to the sound of the dog barking. But it could be that, from 2:53 to 3:51 she was sleeping. And then maybe, something we don't really know is maybe the dog barking around 4 was just Kaylee putting the dog back in the room. And, maybe it's closer to 3:51 or something. And then while she was awake, maybe she put the EG number in her phone or something. And then she starts hearing other sounds and doesn't really ever get to go back to sleep until, you can tell they're going back and forth a lot. And let's see, Dylan Mortensen and Kaylee Gonzalez, just said Kaylee. We've already seen all these, actually. Shut the F up, blah, 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 blah. Let's go down to run down here. And then Dylan Mortensen calls Ethan Chapin. Dylan Mortensen, so there must be a text message here, but there's no wording on it because it says 2, not calls. And then 4:27:11 outgoing call, 4:27:30 outgoing message from Dylan Mortensen. These are all Dylan Mortensen to Snapchat. Maybe she's trying to get a hold of some friends on Snapchat, but we don't get to see those because those disappear. Then Dylan Mortensen calls Kaylee Gonzalez, and Dylan Mortensen called Xana Kernodle. That sounds like somebody that's pretty frantically trying to get a hold of people. Then Bethany Funk tries to call Madison Mogan, Kaylee Gonzalez, and then Kaylee Gonzalez again. And then Dylan Mortensen tried to text Kaylee Gonzalez. Then Bethany Funk accessed Snapchat at 4:34. Then 4:37, Bethany Funk accessed Instagram. And then maybe around this time is when they sort of laid down in there and they were just talking and perhaps fell asleep or something until 7:30-ish in the morning. Then Bethany Funk, so about a 3-hour-ish sleep, and then Bethany Funk calls her dad. Then she calls her dad again, then calls another number, then she calls home, and then calls mom. So she's really like, man, I don't know, something weird happened. I'd like to know what the parents were advising to do. Like maybe she said, should I call 911? Well, don't call quite now because you don't really know what's, who the hell knows. Then at 8:05 to 10, Dylan Mortensen's on Instagram. 8:41 to 8:42, Bethany Funk takes photographs of what? Like what was the photographs of? And then 9:04, mom texts Bethany Funk. Then 10 to 10:56, Dylan Mortensen messages incoming and outgoing. 10:01 to 10:03 on Instagram, Dylan Mortensen. Then 10:03 to 10:04, Dylan Mortensen is on Indeed, which is a job sort of headhunting website, but that doesn't mean she was actually there looking for a job. It just could have popped up. It's one of those companies that would have a pop-up on any page that you're on and you might have clicked on it. Doesn't mean a damn thing. And plus, it doesn't seem like you'd be looking for a job when you're still in college for another year, And it's winter break. It's not like you're heading into the summers coming up. Dylan Mortensen texts Madison Mogan. Then Dylan Mortensen is on Instagram. Then 10:30 to 10:45, Dylan Mortensen messages incoming and outgoing. Then 12:21:53, JM texts Bethany Funk. And by the way, you guys, this is another show tonight. So if you have the ability to help support this channel, I'd appreciate it. We got the Buy Me a Coffees, all the other things that allows me to keep doing these shows. All right. We're currently at the Big Goose Egg 0 at this point. And 10:24:01 to 10:25:04, Dylan Mortensen is on Instagram. And 10:30:18 to 10:45, Dylan Mortensen messages incoming and outgoing Snapchat. Then 11:21, JM texts Bethany Funk. And I think somebody explained that's the girlfriend of Wait, I can't remember who JM was. Then 10:56:49 to 11:29, Dylan Mortensen's on Instagram and messages on Snapchat. And 11:29:27, Dylan Mortensen texts Kaylee Gonzalez. And 11:29:41 to 11:32:45, Dylan Mortensen's on Instagram and messaging on Snapchat. Dylan Mortensen's on Yik Yak. Dylan Mortensen's on TikTok. She's on Snapchat. Then 11:39 to 11:40, Dylan Mortensen and Dad text each other. Bethany Funk calls JM. JM texts Dylan Mortensen. And 11:40:06 to 11:50:38, Dylan Mortensen's on Instagram. 11:50:58, Dylan Mortensen calls Emily, who's the girlfriend of Hunter. And then JM texts Dylan Mortensen. And 11:51, Bethany Funk texts JM. JM texts Bethany Funk. JM texts Bethany Funk. I think that might be the neighbor, JM. And Bethany Funk texts JM. JM texts Bethany Funk. Bethany Funk texts JM. Bethany Funk texts. I mean, well, why can't we see what those say? And then at 11:54:57, I bet you, since the defense put this out, that these all here are things that are non-nefarious. Like, oh my God, so there was a sound last night, but the defense doesn't want you to see those. They want you to make it seem like they're just cavalierly texting, etc. Thanks, Alley Kick. Thanks, Mallory Beavers. All right. Yeah. So, and then they called 911 at 11:56. So it is different than they were asleep all the way into the later morning, like they slept 8 hours. I mean, there was probably a 3-hour time frame there, and then she obviously wasn't awoken at 4 by. But she said around 4 was awoken by what sounded like dog playing. So how do we know that the 3:51 here isn't that? Like she woke up and then was just sitting there. Who knows? Or maybe at 3:51 she put her head back down to go to sleep. Like who the hell knows? Because the roommates were still awake and so forth. So she puts her head down and she nods off, and then boom, at 4:08, that's when. So Kohberger got into the house at like 4:09, so that'd be about 18 minutes later. It's not 4 o'clock when Kohberger got there. Hey, thank you, Mama 457 Rose. Thank you, Gray and Mods. Mallory said, more than happy to start it off. Let's go. All right, so that's all. I don't really have much more to say about this. My thing is Madison Mogen, Bethany Funk and Dylan Mortensen have absolutely nothing to do with anything, all right? Now, you can believe all that. All day long, you can believe it and just think it's all true. You're going to be proven wrong when trial happens, okay? I'm just letting you know. So you can waste all your time, having everything, wringing your hands over Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk, but it's never going to lead to anything. Hey, thanks, Buckshot. Thank you, Gray, she said. Very cool. Thank you very much. And if you have, if you do a super chat and you make a comment on what you think, then we can read that as well. But I want to get right to another one that I saw in here in these documents. We gotta do this one first. This is amazing, you guys. Look at this one. Okay, well, there's two of them that are amazing. Let's go to the one that everybody probably wants to see first. Here it is. There's two of them that are just freaking incredible. So this is the Amazon clicking stuff, right? So I'm just going to move it down to. Let's go right down to here. Further in this case, the evidence at issue is complete. The defendant argues that the data the state has disclosed, this must be comes now the state of, and that's right. And right, let's go to the top up here. It does mention it right here. On November 13, 2022, law enforcement responded to 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho. Page 1 of the affidavit. 4 victims were found deceased with apparent stab wounds A K-bar knife sheath with a United States Marine Corps logo was found lying next to the victim. DNA was found on the K-bar knife sheath found on the scene. That led to Brian Kohberger. So I'm just going to scroll down here. Let's see. The state narrowly, right here, let's just read any paragraphs that has K-bar in it. Further, in this case, the evidence at issue is complete. The defendant argues that the data the state has disclosed to the defendant is extremely narrow when compared to the more inclusive and broad warrant and subpoenas. But this argument is incorrect. To confirm, the state has disclosed to the defendant all data, including clickstream data, that Amazon has produced in this case. The state narrowly tailored a search warrant for evidence regarding the crimes of homicide or burglary occurring at 1122 King Road. This included temporal limitations based on the officer's investigation, which limited the search from March 20th, 2022 through March 30th, 2022. That's interesting. During that weird time frame. That's after, well, that's before. So that's his searching on way before the homicides, actually. Time it was known, Brian Kohberger purchased a K-bar knife with sheath and sharpener from Amazon.com. And November 1st, 2022 through December 6th, time right before and after the homicide, Kohberger's entire click history, items not related to knives and accessories, were not relevant. Without any legal basis, the defendant claims the state cherry-picked specific clicks. Let's see, so this one, let's just start right here. Under Idaho Rule of Evidence 401, evidence is relevant if it has the tendency to make a fact more or less probable than it would be without the evidence and the fact of the consequence in determining the action. IRE 401. Defendant appears to argue that the evidence of defendant's Amazon.com click history is not relevant. That is not the case. A K-bar knife sheath with USMC logo was found next to one of the victims at 1122 King Road. The defendant's DNA was found on the K-bar knife sheath found on the scene. Applying the test for relevancy, first, Kohberger's click activity, which shows a purchase of a K-bar knife sheath and sheath before the homicides, makes it more probable than it would be without the evidence that the K-bar sheath found at the crime scene was Brian Kohberger's. Second, Kohberger's click activity after the homicides makes it more probable than it would be without the evidence that Kohberger had a reason to search for a K-bar knife and sheath after the homicides. These facts are consequences. So after that, Kohberger had a reason to search for K-bar knife and sheath after the homicides. So he wanted to replace it so it looked like he didn't lose it. These facts are a consequence to determining whether Brian Kohberger committed the homicides at 1122 King Road. Defendant argues, let me move down to where, so down here, the defendant argues that Amazon recommendation system influence what users see and click on. Right, but he actually bought it. But this purported use of AI technology is not relevant. Even if algorithm might suggest certain products to a customer, the algorithm would not cause, yeah, they're probably suggesting K-bar knife sheaths all over the place because he searched for it. To a customer, the algorithm would not cause a customer to repeatedly and over the course of several days browse web pages related to K-bar knives, sharpeners, and sheaths. All right, we currently have no copies, and if you guys, like I said before, see, this channel relies on the generosity of all the freaks watching the shows, and we're trying to, we're at the last third of the month here, and we're trying to make a good month this month so that we can do what our main mission is on this channel and give away a lot of money at the end of the month to various true crime related charities. And that only happens when you guys are helping support the channel. So if you have the ability to, and you're watching the show and you like the volume of work that I do, I hope you feel like it's accurate, and I try to put out, you know, real information that is going to be the reality in the case, then it'd be great if you felt like it was worth supporting this channel. Like I said before, there is very little ad revenue on the live streams, so it really just kind of comes down to the people tipping the show, and that's about it. All right, so if you feel that way, that'd be great. Yeah. So I mean, this document basically shows you that Kohberger purchased a K-bar knife sheath. Oh, look at that! This time it's actually color in here. That was never a color version. Interesting. Yeah, I kind of made that same map myself. Hey Pam, gifted a membership to Art with Chrissy. And let me put my coffee link in there if anybody wants to get me one of those. Huh. That's pretty interesting because we haven't really seen the color version of that. But don't you find that interesting, you guys? Because it's saying that he purchased a K-bar knife sheath. We already knew this, though, but it's great to see it in a document. So there you go. Now, the one that I find the most interesting in terms of a document is not that. Okay. Well, it's not that one. I mean, I already knew that information. This one is the suspect vehicle document. This one right here. Thanks, Annabella Roma. And thank you to Emily for a coffee. All right, so here we go. I mean, this is amazing. How many pages? This is 51 pages long, though, so I don't know if I want to go through the whole. You know what we could do? Let's try using the ChatGPT to summarize it. As we've seen, it does an amazing job of summarizing, and then we'll go right to the portions that I want to go over. So summarize in the greatest detail a PDF file. All right, so here we go, and then I'm gonna load it in, and we'll be able to listen to it. I mean, it's pretty amazing. It's 51 pages. So, and it does a great job, as we saw the other day. It actually summarized the 911 call, like, better than the call. I mean, it was amazing. All right, so let's go. I guess I'm not really sure where the reader is. Maybe it got turned off. I guess I could just read it then. The case involves 4 homicides that took place on November 13, 2022. Moscow Police Department responded to the scene and initiated an investigation. Surveillance footage was obtained from 112 King Road, showing a white sedan arriving and departing the crime scene at key times. Surveillance footage and identification of subject vehicle. The subject vehicle is described as a white sedan. The 1112 King Road surveillance camera captured the vehicle entering the area at 4:04 a.m., leaving the area at 4:20 a.m. at a high rate of speed. The vehicle was seen making multiple passes near the crime scene between 3:30 and 4:04 a.m. at various locations, including, look at, now we have other places, 1311 South Main Street at 3:28. I think that might be the A&W. 11225 Ridge Road at 3:29. Haven't I showed all of you guys this? And again at 4:01 a.m. at that place. That's probably the time when it was. Let's see. That would be the time when it was leaving, perhaps, after the 357 loop. But then it says Linda Lane at 329. I've showed you guys that one. At 1330 Linda Lane, that's the one behind the building that I've shown you guys many, many times. At 330, 339, 356, 405, and 407. I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, you guys have seen me cover this. And then 451 Paradise Drive, that's a different one. And that's at 335 and 348, so we'll be able to add that in. Then forensic analysis of the vehicle. FBI forensic examiner Anthony Immel reviewed the footage and determined the suspect vehicle has a class characteristic matching a 2014 to 2016 Hyundai Elantra. Key characteristics used for identification: body style, window configuration. Didn't I tell you that you can replace the windows in the 2011 to 2016? Front grille, headlight shape, side trim, rear brake light configuration, license plate position, rear bumper design, fog light placement. A white 2015 Hyundai Elantra was registered to Brian Koberger at the time of the crime. 3. State argument for admissibility of vehicle evidence. The state suspect vehicle was properly identified. The defense argued that the vehicle was not linked to the crime scene. I mean, it was such a ludicrous argument. The prosecution contends that the suspect vehicle was recorded multiple times near the crime scene. The FBI forensic experts' analysis confirms its class characteristics. The route of travel suggests the same vehicle was captured on multiple cameras. Exactly. I've tried to explain it to people. Like if you see a person walking in the light around a corner, and then another camera is around the corner and it's dark, and you can still see the characteristics, it's going to be the same person, right? There wasn't somebody that just beamed down from an alien spacecraft and showed up in that location. State argues that it is unrealistic to require continuous. Oh yeah, it says right here, the defense claims that there is no continuous footage linking the vehicle from Ridge Road to 1112 King Road. I mean, what a joke. The state argues that it's unrealistic to require, like, what, do you have to have another camera at each house as the car is driving by? It's unrealistic to require a continuous surveillance in a residential area. The sequence of footage and timestamps establishes a clear pattern of movement. The vehicle's movements align with the crime's timeline. The defense argues the evidence should be excluded under Idaho Rule of Evidence 403. The prosecution counters that the vehicle identification is highly relevant as Koberger owned a similar vehicle. The defense has not proven the evidence is unfairly prejudicial. The jury should be allowed to consider expert testimony and surveillance footage. There's no way in hell the judge is not going to allow this surveillance footage. In conclusion, conclusion and state request. The state requests that the court deny the defendant's motion in limine, number 12. The state seeks permission for FBI expert Anthony Immel to testify that the vehicle on surveillance footage shares characteristics with a 2014 to 2015 Hyundai Elantra. The jury should determine whether the suspect vehicle is Koberger's Honda Elantra. Hyundai. The jury should determine whether so they're the ones that would be able to determine that. Additional evidence. There's different attachments. S1, FBI Special Agent, Google Map, FBI Special Agent. And these are all in there, I think. Key takeaways. The white Honda Elantra is crucial to the prosecution case. Surveillance footage suggests the same vehicle was seen multiple times around the crime scene. An FBI expert linked the vehicle to a 2014 to 2016 Hyundai Elantra. All right, and the defense wants the evidence. It says the prosecution argues this is strong evidence and should be admitted in trial. The defense wants the evidence excluded, claiming it is speculative. The prosecution asserts the jury should decide its significance. This summary provides a detailed overview of the state's response and the legal arguments related to the suspect vehicle evidence in the Brian Koberger case. Let me know if you need further clarification. I mean, see, that's a really good summary, right? I mean, it's just almost unbelievable. And then you come down here. I mean, look at this stuff. I mean, this is just right up my alley. This is amazing. So we've already shown all of this, except I had told you that these would be on the 1112 King Road camera, the blue one. And they have it right on the map, exactly the exact same everything that we've already shown. So for all you trolls out there, suck it. You were wrong the whole time. You guys are a joke. You know, Gray, you don't even have the right car, Gray. Yeah. So here is 1112 King Road right there. See that? And here is, well, let me get a different map, satellite image. Probably like that one's better. This is 1112 King Road right there. This is 1122 King Road. Remember how we have a camera back here and there's a camera right there going down Linda Lane. Well, guess what? They have both of those on there. Right there and right there. If I zoomed in, you'd see them. See, there's the one that films the car going back behind, driving around like that. This is the one filming down Linda Lane right there towards Taylor Avenue. So this thing over here actually has all the times. I mean, so it's just absolutely amazing. I'm not sure why they don't have more on this Linda Lane filming that direction. It's almost like, do they have the same copy that was out on the internet where the idiots deleted between 329 and 405? They deleted every second of that? Yeah, I don't know. I think there's probably more. So the one at 329, that means when the car drove by, I mean, it's sort of interesting. I'd like to see exactly where it's on that side of the house, it looks like. So they have a pin, and so what they're pointing at, it looks like that's right here. It's almost like they have it right there on that side. So apparently there's a camera right there that films the vehicle. There, let's see, let's go down here to, so at 700 Indian Hills Drive, the white Elantra drives by here at 326, and it winds around, and then it makes its way right here past the A&W at 328. So the 328 is going to be, I think it's on a different map. I just saw it down on another page. Or actually, it's off to the side, sorry. Excuse me. It's right there. So there is Lauder Avenue, and that's where the A&W is, right in this section here, driving this direction, and then it comes around up. And one of the ones that I don't have though is this one. So that's awesome. And so that proves that the vehicle was on, you know, we don't know if it went up Ridge Road there or it kept on Paradise Drive. You remember how when I went out there, you guys, and I drove like, I would be on, what's it called? Willanta Drive, and it would be coming around like this, and then I would sometimes go this way, and then sometimes I'd go like this, and then down Paradise Drive right here. So there's a vehicle right on the corners which could see both. So it's very possible that the vehicle went like this, came to the stop sign, turned left, or it just went here and then turned left on Paradise Drive. All right, you guys, I'm going to try it again. If you guys are out there, if you could please help support the channel. We're having one of those nights again, so if you have the ability to, it'd be awesome. Just try my best to do these shows and make things happen. If you guys don't want to, that's cool too. I don't know what else to say. I don't have any other words of wisdom. All right, so this is right when the car comes around, and I think they have it on this house right there, that there's a camera. Let's see if we can see it. There we go. They do have street view there. Let me get that map back out. Yeah, it's this one right here. And that is at 451 Paradise Drive. Thanks, Alley Cake, for trying. Got a lot of new people. All right, so we got 451 Paradise Drive, and this one is at what time? 3:35 and 3:48. 3:35 a.m. and 3:48. It's interesting. So the Linda Lane footage behind, and let's open up a video that I have in here. Let's see how accurate this is. Hey, look at that buckshot. Gifted 5 memberships to SS, Muth Legs, Leela Balzac, Emily Marie, and Desi Wezzy 11. It didn't update, but if you use Fire... Oh, that was today's video. Hold on. I'm looking for... There it is right here. There, watch this right over here. 3:30. And so they didn't put the seconds in here. But watch. Can you guys see that on the screen? Put that right over like that. So that's what I'm saying. Oftentimes they just use the main number, not the seconds, for some reason. So here's 3:30. It isn't gray. There was another car at 3... No, there wasn't one at 3:30. We've seen the video. Hey, thank you very much, Catherine Talk and Mama 457 Rose. So there it comes. I would have put 3:31 myself. All right, so look at the time there. And we're comparing it to the yellow right there. And it also proves one of the other things that we've said. I'll show you in a second. They should have put 3:31 here and 3:30 in the blue like they have it. Right now it's like 9 minutes later or so. And you'll see here in a second. What you see on this channel, Lady Parts Doctor, is real information. You, however, if you actually are a doctor, you're an embarrassment. Okay? Yeah, that means you have no logic and common sense, and your patients should run for the hills. My God. There it is. Look at that. 3:39. You see how it matches right here? Boom. 3:39. That's the second time it came back there. And basically what we're showing right now is how accurate the information we've been giving you for over a year or 2 years now. Watch. Now we'll see it again at 3:56 in some odd seconds. Hey, thanks so much, Brat, for gifting a membership. And then Mel Bell. Hey, thank you. And then GSUPM. No ASD, no OCD, no developmental condition disorder. Yeah, there was a document on that too. I got to bring that. There's just so much information that came out today. I've got multiple videos that I got to make. So be ready to watch those. Now look at 3:56. Here comes the vehicle again, right? I would have put 357 myself. I mean, it's still in the 356 minute, but you know, it's closer to that. But you guys see how accurate this is? There it is, coming around. Now we're on this one right here that we just did the 356. Now the next time we see it'll be 405, and that's when it does its 3-point turn back here, and then it does a second 3-point turn at king and queen, and then we see it again at 407. All right, and all this stuff is I have memorized, so I don't have to keep wondering or, you know, trying to look up stuff. But very, very, thank you guys very much. Appreciate it for the support there. Hey, we got to 50% just like that. Not too bad. Got 514. By the way, we call ourselves freaks here, crime freaks. All right, that's why even our mugs say freaks on it. My car says freak. All right, so look at pretty soon here, the vehicle is going to come back. It's 405. You can hear it driving in the background. Hear it? Right there. So here it comes. And it's 405. Just like it is right there. You see that? Boom. And at this time, however, it does the 3-point turn back here. The vehicle's right there in the underneath the M under AM. Now it's backing up. See that? Backing up. And then it's going to go back out. And Taylor today seemed to want to imply that Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk are nefarious. Welcome, Michelle. Tanaka. I don't want to say it wrong. Yeah. Now look at 407. Another loop. It's actually like 407. 20 if I remember right. So currently the vehicle is doing this. It turned around, it's driving over here, tried to stop or turn around and park, then it's going over there, doing a 3-point turn, and now it's heading back this direction. Right? And you'll see here in just a second after it came back. And thank you, Zozo, for telling me that these documents are out, because on Chrome they weren't displaying for like an hour or so. Ridiculous. You know what I think? I think he honked at a rabbit. I'm not joking. When I went there, there was a little rabbit right in that exact spot running across. And there he goes. See, look at 407. Boom. See that? Right there, 407. Nailed it. Hey, thanks, Michelle. Did I say that right or something? And then there's GSU PM at Defense Desperate. Yeah, they're trying everything. But by the way, for you pro burgers out there, there's some watching right now. Does it bother you that he actually purchased a K-bar knife sheath? A K-bar knife and the sheath on Amazon not too long before the homicides? You know, the same year. Does that bother you at all? Or is it just, a lot of people buy K-bars, Gray? Or how about this? We're not even saying it's not his, Gray. Somebody just put it there. How about it was just Koberger driving around in his freaking white Elantra that night? You ever thought of that? That kind of makes sense. It's weird. Oh, thank you to, let's see, Michelle or no, not Michelle, Michael, sorry, it's blurry for me, and someone on More Coffees over there. He wouldn't have done it because he was out stargazing. Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, he was over there at Wawa Park. Do you know that it's actually impossible for his phone to have pinged near Blaine, Idaho, and for him to go to Wawa Park, and that was at 447 by Blaine, and then for him to go to Wawa Park and then be back driving into town at 5:30. You know that's impossible? Right. I guess they forgot about that. That's why they don't bring up Wawa Park anymore. They talk about, well, he likes to drive around. In fact, he was actually driving a third of a mile from the house. It's just not his car after that. Okay. All right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you. Thank you, Ann Taylor. It's really amazing, just very intellectual logic there where we can all just go, you know what? Wow, he didn't do it. I don't know where he was when he bought that. Let's see. I don't think, didn't he move to like in June or July? I think it was before. So he's planning for his trip. Oh yeah, they had a date range. It was March, so I think he bought it in March, not May, like people are saying. Because remember up there they said they had a specific range. Yeah, there it is. It was March 20th, 2022 to March 30th, 2022, and then then I think he bought a replacement knife later. That's why they have these other searches. So the search warrant was served on May 10th. That's when it was served. But they had let's see, it's on June 27th, Amazon. So they provided on June 27, 2023, the search warrant information between March 20th and March 30th. So it's just, like 9 months before he has the knife sheath and knife. Okay? But man, this right here is just awesome. I'm going to zoom it out. It's so cool to be vindicated. By official information, instead of you're saying stuff over and over and over again to a lot of people who just don't want to listen because they're pro-burgers. And now you're looking at information that is real because it came from the prosecutors. Gray, they make up stuff all the time. But you know what? It actually matches the cameras, even the ones that we've seen. And that means they're real. So here it says 1311 South Main Street. And I'm pretty sure that's the A&W. 1311 South Main Street. And, yep, that's the A&W. See right there? That's what this is. And maybe we'll just put that address in there with that. 1311 South. Man, I love stuff like this, man. This right here is all I give a shit about. Some of the other stuff, like, I always think it's interesting how people know the names of, let's see, like they know the names of Ethan Chapin's best friend's girlfriend. Like, how did you know that? Like, what is that? What relevance does that? I mean, other than them being in the 911 call, but prior to that, what made people look that up? It's weird. I go for the more the technical information that actually makes or breaks a case, not the sort of side sort of show stuff. I don't look into people like Dylan Mortensen. I don't look into people like Xana, Xana and her mom. And, the killer is Brian Kohberger. He was arrested for the murders, and his DNA was on the knife sheath left at the crime scene. That's kind of where the focus should be. I mean, it's good to know that, though, when you're trying to fill out a 911 call, who's saying what. I'm just wondering how people actually knew that before the 911 call. You're so quiet, then ads play, and it's so loud. Well, I don't think I'm quiet at all. My meters say that I'm minus 5 decibels. It's pretty loud. Mm-hmm. But some people are just more interested in other things, you know. This is the stuff right here, though. So the Ridge Road that was mentioned in a hearing recently that they identified the vehicle has 2 sightings. So let's just sort of use this and then come over here and decipher what's happening here. Maybe I can, if I can make it about like that, and I can make this. Can you guys still read some of that? Let me see what happens. Yeah, so this is the A&W. So once it gets to the A&W, it pretty much stays in there. They don't mention that gas station in this map here. Proburgers have turned this into a soap opera. Makes them feel smart. Oh, you watch tomorrow the UK guy and the clown. Oh, they're gonna tear those text messages apart and insinuate all kinds of different things. Mm-hmm. I can't do anything about that though, Keto Karen. So what do you want me to do? All right. So at 3:29, after it was spotted here at Ridge Road, basically at 3:29 also. That's what I was showing you guys. That's like 3:29 something, and 3:29:46. It drives by here. I mean, I can actually show you that one if you're interested. That exact reference that they're making. And there should be multiple, except, interestingly, that video's missing. I mean, it's just weird. That's the 5-hour version. Don't want that. I guess I could throw it up there anyways on the screen, and this is 5 hours, so I'll just move it around till that's 5:14. I mean, look how crazy this is, you guys. Right when it gets to the part that matters, it disappears. It even says it on the screen. It's ludicrous. So here's 3:29 and 19 seconds. So it just went on to Ridge Road at 3:29 also. But see at the bottom of the screen where it says 3:29 and 26, 27, and I drove this. It's exactly the correct time. All right, 34, 35, 36. I actually drove all the way from Indian Hills Drive to right here, and everything was perfectly matched up. Now here it comes, 42. Here comes a vehicle. Look up there. See the lights coming through the trees. 47, 48, 49. Boom. There comes the white Elantra coming into the area. And then right after that, it's missing 45 minutes. It's ridiculous. Like, not 45, 35 minutes is missing, all of the key time frame. I've already shown him, Julianne. Why don't I just do the show the way I want to? Everybody, Julianne says, why don't you show the new text from Dylan Mortensen? What a joke the PCA is. Yeah, we went over that at the beginning of the show, Julianne. So if you weren't as rude as you were, you would have gone back and checked it out at the beginning of the show. It's really kind of interesting. Yeah, we went over that already. But I have some other stuff I want to talk about since I put out a video earlier on the new text messages. The PCA isn't a joke. It actually makes sense. There was 20 minutes between the time she added somebody to her phone until Koberger even got to the house. So yeah, she could have fallen back asleep and woke up again. You know, try to use your brain every once in a while. You know what I mean? I know it's difficult for some people, but you know, if you just put a little effort into it, well, you might struggle. Right, anyways, at 3:29:49, it's coming by right there. And then this is where it gets, I think, interesting, and it proves exactly what we were saying about a month or so ago when we were doing the loops and where Koberger was. So right now what I'm going to do is, I've got this open, but I'm going to open up a different one here. Hope you guys don't mind. Let's hold on. All right. Insta360, and then Idaho, December. There it is, right there. Boom. So let's just show all this stuff. And I go right around. Heck, that's even pretty good. Even if I go out here, watch. So right down the road down there, see that car that's right there? You could pretend that that was the Elantra coming this direction, because that Linda Lane is right over here to the right. It drives by, and then it turns right into, let me go back to about right here. It turns right there into that street. Okay? And then from inside of there, that means it comes around the corner, comes in like this. Then it comes right there and turns to the left. Poor Genesis. He's in like every shot, you know. So anyways, he you know, the car would come around like this, and then right there, that's 1112 King Road. Is this making sense to you guys? That's 1112. Jesus, I keep getting these text messages. All right, let's see. So right there, that's 1112 King Road, and then the white Elantra would have came in like this, turned onto King Road, then driven up like that, and then if I go back a little bit further to here, the vehicle drove back behind 500 King Road right there, Queen Road, I mean, and then we'll show you that here in a second. I'll move all the way over to there. That's 500 Queen Road. We were just way down there. There's 1112 King Road right there. Then the vehicle drove around on that camera just like this, coming around. Then it drove up that little narrow chute right there. Then it gets up to the top. Then it heads back around. And guess what? Right on the other end of that, you are at 1122 King Road right there behind it. Now, I think, based on what we went over the other day and the amount of time, look at the vehicle comes back behind here at 3:30. We just showed you that on that video a few minutes ago. It was 3:31, really, about 3:31. And then the vehicle is spotted right here at 1112 King Road at 3:33. So that means the white Elantra stopped right here, like right there, for 2 minutes, waiting, watching, looking. Then it drove down this direction, and then it went by that camera, leaving at 3:30. So what you're looking at right here is 3:30 arriving, coming in this way. 3:33, it's leaving out this way. 3:38, it comes back in this way. And then at 3:40, so that time it waited a minute and a half, 2 minutes again when it was leaving. And then it leaves, and then it comes back in at 3:56. and then it leaves at 3:58. So again, it waits, 1 minute or something. And then it drives by that camera at 3:58, and then it comes back into the area at 4:04. Now they should put more on here because you would actually see it again at, makes you wonder though, if it is a motion activated, maybe it didn't pick up the 3-point turn, because it should say 4:04 coming in, and then it should say 4:07 or 6 or so when it comes back and does the 3-point turn, and then you have 4:07 behind the building over there, and then it parks for the last time at 4:08, and then we should see the 4:20 here, because that video does exist. It should say 4:20 and 40 seconds as it's driving away at a high rate of speed. Should I put this in there? Let's see. I'm going to put arriving. Forget it. I mean, for me, it's just obvious. I don't want to mess up the PDF file. All right. I mean, that just makes complete sense, though. But it shows that on 2 of the loops, it sat there for 2 minutes. And the other one, I don't know if it's quite as long. It might just be just for a moment. But at least a minute on each of those loops, it waited. You got it coming in at 3:29 on Linda Lane, then 3:30 driving by 1112 King Road, then 3:31, basically not 3:30, but 3:31 behind 500 Queen Road, and then at 3:33 you see it leaving at 1112 King Road. Then it comes back into the area again at 3:38 on 1112 King Road. Then you see it at 3:39 behind 500 Queen Road. Then you see it at 3:40. So that's 3:39. And then 3:40, that means in this case it just did a loop and left. There's no waiting on that one. Actually, it's 3:38, then 3:39, then 3:40. So that sucker just went right around and got the hell out of there again. And then it left for about 15 minutes on this one. Then it comes back in at 3:56. And then it goes behind 500 Queen Road at 3:56 as well, closer to 3:57. And then at 3:58, it's leaving the area again, but it waits for like a minute back there. Then at 4:07, then at 4:04, the car comes back into the area again. And then at 4:05, we see it back behind 500 Queen Road. And then we see it again behind at 4:07 behind 500 Queen Road, and that's when it parked at 4:08. And then between 4:08 and 4:20 and 47 seconds, when the car drove away, that's when all 4 of the victims were killed. Likely, however, because Dylan Mortensen made a phone call at 4:19. Koberger had already left the house around 4:17 or 4:18, according to the loud thud and the dog barking. And that means he went to his car and put his bloody clothing into bags, etc., because he didn't drive away for another 2 or 3 minutes at a high rate of speed at 4:20 and 47 seconds. Then at 4:47, I think, 4:47, his vehicle, 4:48 maybe, his vehicle pinged near Blaine, Idaho. I think it was 47. So 27 minutes later. However, it only takes about 10 or 12 minutes to drive there, so there's 15 minutes of missing time after Koberger left his residence and made his way near Blaine. All right, but hey, you guys, we're not at the goal yet, so if you're out there and you have the ability to help support my channel, maybe consider buying me a coffee or put a super chat with some messages, etc. We're still only at 80%. We just kind of dropped off the face of the earth in the last 30 minutes or so. So if you guys can help support the channel, that'd be fantastic. Let's see. What do you mean? You're using logic. It makes perfect sense. So let's do, I'm going to try to, there's more information in here. So here's another one. Like, look at this, you guys. Who came up with this outside of seeing it in this document? Who came up with this loop first in the public sphere? Well, you're right here looking at the person on the screen. Look how law enforcement has this exact same thing. And look at this, by the way. They even have it turning the way that I determined was most likely while we were there. Although it is possible it could have taken a right then a left on Paradise Drive. Hey, thanks, Cheryl Bullock. So let's see what it says right here. The videos capture footage in the middle of the night from approximately 3:35 a.m. to 4:07 a.m. when there is light vehicle traffic, especially in Moscow, Idaho. From the review of the surveillance videos, investigators were able to determine the suspect vehicle's path of travel based on the witness direction of travel associated with the timestamps. From the review of the 1125 Ridge Road video, the one that Ann Taylor said identifies Koberger's vehicle, which admittedly provides the best view of the suspect vehicle, investigators were able to determine that the suspect vehicle shared similar class characteristics to a fifth-generation Hyundai Elantra between 2014 to 2015. This video was taken at 4:01 a.m. So that's the clearest one. So that one's 4:01. I thought they said it was 4:29, but it does drive by there at 4:29. Approximately 0.3 miles from the crime scene. Based on the 11225 Ridge Road surveillance and the other video surveillance, investigators can determine the suspect's path of travel as follows. So that's interesting. That's the 4:01 time frame. Oh, I see. So maybe that one got the best shot. It drove by there at 4:29, but that time it went like this, you guys. Wow, that's interesting. See, look at when it came in at 4:29, it went like this. All right, went around like that. This loop, however, it goes when it comes. I think it's the reverse loop because there's times where the vehicle. Which direction are they saying it went though? So they have it 4:04 over there. Interesting. So that means on that last time it came in like this, and then at 4:04. It's spotted right here at 1122 King Road. So it comes in like that. Interesting. It comes in the reverse loop on that last one. So it comes in like that. And this was the camera as it drove by where they could really see that it was in the right ear range. And then comes around like that. And I'm going to tell you, you would have to have been out there many times to not mess up. Because I went there, and the first night I was there, the first 3 or 4 times I had to stop the car, look at my map, because I already had drawn out this loop here. I already knew this is what he did based on what the probable cause affidavit said in it. So I already knew this loop existed, so I went there, and I could barely I didn't know where I was going, so I had to stop the car, and eventually I could do it really simply because I remembered it. And that's why he would go out there. Wow, hey, thanks. Paige Willow gifted 5 Gray Hughes Investigates memberships. His nose got there at 4:03, a minute before. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. I mean, that's pretty incredible. Hey, thanks, Mick W. Oh, man, that's amazing. So now we have this in here. And it was 0.3 miles away. And other video surveillance investigators can determine the suspect path of travel as follows. It takes approximately 3 minutes, wow, they're doing all this, to travel from 1125 Ridge Road to 1112 King Road. And it only actually takes, I would say, 2 minutes, not 3. A logical application, and by the way, why don't they just drive it? It's perfect. I did it. It's exactly the right amount of time, so you don't need to guess at numbers. A logical application means the vehicle with characteristics of 5th generation Hyundai Elantra is the same vehicle on the 1112 King Road camera at 4:04 a.m. This same line of reasoning can be applied to other surveillance videos. The state should be able to introduce all video surveillance surrounding the crime scene proceedings and homicide. The state expert should be able to opine based on the analysis and the surrounding circumstances that the surveillance is picking up the same suspect vehicle, which is identified as sharing the same characteristics as a 2014-2015 fifth generation Hyundai Elantra, or Hyundai Elantra, whatever the hell you say. Great, now let me tell you how to say it. Hold on. We're trying to work some stuff out with my parents and their hospital stuff going on. Defendant argues there's no continuous footage. See, isn't that embarrassing that they would say that? Yeah, there's no continuous footage linking the vehicle at the 1112 King Road footage and that from Ridge Road. I mean, that means you'd have to have very poor brain function to actually think that, right? I mean, you've got this vehicle here at 326 driving by, and then exactly the amount of time it would take. It drives right by here at 328. Then exactly the amount of time that a white Elantra missing its front license plate there would drive by this camera, it would show up at 329. Then exactly the same time that a vehicle would drive by here at 329 and 40 seconds. Because where else would that car go? It's going like this, right? So right there, that white Elantra took a right, and then another white Elantra jumped in, and we say, well, how do you know that? Because when it came around here, it also had characteristics of the white Elantra as it came around through here. All right, so it actually 329 and 49 seconds, then 330 and some odd seconds right here, then 331 back there, then 333 here again, and then come on. It's ridiculous, you guys. And by the way, I don't think we really have 840 people. I think in a minute here you're going to see this little, the Bart Simpson haircut thing happen again. So they're saying, defendant argues there's no continuous footage linking the vehicle at the 1112 King Road footage, and that Ridge Road defendant's motion, page 3, defendant argument appears to suggest that because every single business and residence, right, surrounding the crime scene did not have video surveillance, the state should be precluded from introducing this evidence. This is illogical. I just said that a minute ago. I mean, look at that. It is. I mean, I just basically explained that and said, your brain is malfunctioning. Well, look at that. This is illogical. As argued above, the state should be able to introduce all captured video surveillance surrounding the crime scene preceding the homicide. The state's expert should be able to opine based on his analysis and the surrounding circumstances that the surveillance is picking up the same suspect vehicle, which he identified as sharing the same characteristics, a 2014 to 2015 fifth generation Hyundai Elantra. This opinion would not be speculative, as argued, but instead based on logical, educated inferences from review of the surveillance video, including observed traffic flow, direction of travel, and timestamps. As the court has seen the defendant's other filings. Let's see. Which video did we do the ChatGPT breakdown? Was it this one? I can't ever remember now. All right, thanks. Buy me a coffee to Charlotte and then Mick. Thank you. What case is that? Hold on. Do you think it's dumb enough to take? Yeah, he might. He's kind of, maybe he's like Jodi Arias, you know, or. All right. Does he have a beard in his latest photo? Who? Just saw the new pic. Where? I don't have a picture. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Did you send it to me, Elizabeth? I always think it's funny when people go, wow, that picture is hilarious, but they never send it to the person. Let's see. Do we got one right here? What's that? Jeez. Is this like now, this thing? Creepy Brian Koberger selfie taken just hours after Idaho killings could provide key detail in murder case. Oh. Let's see. Let's see. Surviving roommate Dylan Mortensen recalled a masked intruder. Oh, yeah, the bushy eyebrows. There you go. All right, you pro-burgers out there, do you consider those to be bushy eyebrows? That's what I would think. Here, let me save this. I was kind of more looking at his hands to see if there's any cuts on him. I want to save that one. I was trying to have a hard time finding one where their faces weren't blurred out on the left and right. Ah, look at that guy, man. Jesus. I mean, if you walked down the street and you saw him, you'd think he was a serial killer. See, Gray, that's the problem. You know, it's people like you. Okay. Hey, if by the way, for you pro-burgers out there, put a 1 in the comments if you would. Right now, if they said, you know what, we're going to have to drop charges, we can't find enough information, would you have them babysit your kids, or would you let them stay overnight in your room? You know, I mean, after you let him into his house and he says, you've got nice birthing hips, would you let him spend the night in the other room? Because he's a great guy, right? Other than those things, he's an absolutely awesome person. Mm-hmm. The identification of the suspect vehicle is relevant and admissible as the court has. Let me put this in the chat GPT. I don't remember if this is what we did earlier, though. That's the thing. I can't remember. I guess I can figure it out. Which one is that? Oh, yeah, that was the... No, that is the suspect vehicle one. Okay, so we did that one. Right. So we're going to do another one then. We got a bunch of them. But we're still not quite at the goal, you guys. So if you have the ability to, that'd be great. So how about the alternative perpetrator one? All right, let's do summarize in great detail this PDF file. So here's an alternative perpetrator, kind of like in the Delphi case. Not sure what's going on with why doesn't my app play it? It's weird. All right, this one is defendant's objection to state motion in limine regarding alternate perpetrator evidence. Hey, thanks, Alley Cake, for trying again. That'd be nice. Date filed March 17, 2017. Ann Taylor, blah, 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 blah. The document is a formal objection filed by the defense against the state of Idaho's motion in limine, which seeks to prevent the defense from introducing evidence or arguments regarding an alternative perpetrator without first obtaining the court's approval. Key arguments by defense. The defense argues that Brian Kohberger has a constitutional right to present a full and complete defense under the 6th and 14th Amendment. The precedent set in State v. Meister supports the defendant's right to present evidence of an alternate perpetrator. Who? What's the evidence of the other one? The defense asserts that the proper timing for an offer of proof regarding an alternate perpetrator is not clearly established. In past cases, courts have allowed such offers during trial. State v. Meister, 2007, volume of alternate perpetrator information. The state has received over 45,000 tips, all from people calling themselves pro-burgers, people that sit in their mother's basement twiddling their thumbs with grease all over their bellies eating pizza. Oh wait, it doesn't say that. The defense contends that the case has multiple alternative perpetrators and that the state has selectively focused on Kohberger. The defense will present offers of proof linking several alternative perpetrators to the crime under Idaho Rules of Evidence. Let me guess. Brent Kopacka! Conclusion by the defense. The court should deny the state's motion in limine and allow the defense to present alternative perpetrator evidence. No, but you got to show a nexus. They're going to have a hearing on that, I bet. Alternatively, if the court does not deny the motion outright, it should reserve ruling until the defense presents specific offers of proof in line with Idaho legal standards. The defense references a sealed memorandum dated November 18, 2024, related to genetic information suggesting there may be additional undisclosed details. Okay, you're talking about the blood found on the rail. A certificate of delivery confirms that copies of this objection were sent to relevant legal parties, including the Latah County prosecuting attorney. Implications of the filing. The defense is attempting to keep the door open for introducing evidence or theories that point to other suspects. The prosecution likely wants to limit speculative or weak alternative suspect arguments that could distract from their case against Kohberger. The judge's decision on this motion will be critical in determining the scope of evidence presented at trial. All right, let's see if we can summarize another PDF. I think this is really valuable, you know. Oh yeah, so this one might be, this one we might just read it because I want to see what the hell is on this. This one's about a admissibility of demonstrative exhibit and memorandum support. So this is by the Kohberger defense team. The demonstrative aid the state seeks permission to use is a not-to-scale replica of the house where the... Oh, see, they want to say, oh, because you took down the house, now we get... Where the killings took place. I mean, why not just use something like what I use? You know, I mean, don't you guys feel like if you were a jury and, you know, you could come in here...
Up into the
living room. And you could just look around in here and, like, you could just... You know, have the prosecutor up there saying, yeah, so this is the living room. There's the stairs that come up. And, you know, it would feel like you're kind of there. You know, that's what it looks like. So, all right, we're currently 37 short of reaching the goal where I donate 5 memberships. So let's see if you guys can get there, whether it's through membership gifting or not. Then I'll gift 5, and then we'll have a whole bunch of membership. If you guys do 7 memberships, I'll donate 5. All right. So as a whole group, we need all the people that have the white names in there, meaning the color of the name. I'll donate 5, but we need. I mean, we'd like to get them all green. Let's put it that way. Now, this is not a demonstrative aid like a graph or chart or enlarged photograph. This is a model built from examination and analysis of the house. Upon learning that the state intended to have a model of the crime scene built for demonstrative purpose in October of 2023, the defense requested specific discovery. Objection to state's, let's see, after the discovery deadline. You know what I'm going to do? I think I'm going to do what I said I was going to do and have GPT, and if there's anything that sort of like sticks out, we'll look into it more specifically. Let's see. All right. Hey, look at that. Mallory Beavers, welcome. And then Mallory Beavers gifted one. So we got 1 gifted one. Need 6 more of those, then I'll do 5. Thanks, Moxie Drapo. All right, there's Marcella H. 5 more. All right, so this says, I wish the reader was on there. It says the defendant's objection to state motion in limine regarding admissibility of demonstrative exhibits and memorandum in support. And, okay, let's just move down to the... This document is an objection filed by the defense in response to the state's motion in limine, which seeks to admit a 3D demonstrative model of the crime scene into evidence. Man, there's no way the judge is not going to allow it. The state proposed a 3D model of the crime scene is not just a chart, graph, or photograph, but a constructed representation of the house. So what? People use 3D models all the time. This model is not to scale, which raises concerns about accuracy and potential distortion. Well, if they made a 3D model and it's not to scale, then that's just idiotic in the first place, okay? I mean, you know, you'd want to make it as accurate as possible, and they know what all the measurements are. All right, so we have 3 memberships. We need 4 more. 3 gifted memberships. All right, so come on, freaks, you can do it. Late and inadequate disclosure. The state failed to provide timely discovery regarding the creation of the model. See, they must fear. They're probably glad the house got torn down. Because if they're scared of a model, that means, my God, they wouldn't want people in there. The defense requested information in October of 2023 regarding the model, but did not receive relevant discovery until March 14, 2025, 6 months past the state discovery deadline, and 3 months past the deadline for expert disclosure. The defense only recently learned who is building the model, the credentials of those involved. All right, there's 4, you guys. There's 4. The data used in constructing the model. Unfair prejudice to the defense. See, they didn't want that house up. Unfair prejudice to the defense. But if the house is there, it'd be great. No, you guys are happy. Because of the delayed disclosure, the defense has no time to hire an expert to assess the model. independently verify the accuracy of the model. Well, I know in the Jody Arias case, there were, they put a little diagram up on the screen and it wasn't even close. I mean, it was sort of generally what it looked like, but, let me ask you something. Why not, if you're making something, make it as accurate as possible? Like, I just don't understand the mindset. I feel like we see that all the time. Even in cases that I'm really, like, I feel strongly about. You see people do things, and it's just not accurate. Like in this case, when the 911 call transcript was released, it was just filled with just little errors and things and missing words, and just wasn't very accurate. I mean, why not just take the time? I mean, sometimes you have to listen to it multiple times to get down to being really accurate, but I don't know. It just feels like they don't do it. All right, you guys, okay, now we just need 2 more memberships, and then I'm going to gift 5 myself. So we got KR, Wise Child, HDoc, Marcella, and Mallory Beavers. That's 5. Just 2 more, and boom. Let's see. So they're saying they're not able to investigate potential flaws in the underlying data, develop its own demonstrative evidence. Well, why didn't you start building a 3D model beforehand? Legal challenges to the model admissibility, relevance, Idaho rule of evidence. The state claims the model will show where people and objects were located. However, since it's not to scale, its accuracy is questionable. Prejudicial impact. The model may be misleading to the jury because inaccuracies in the walls, doors, or sight lines could create a false impression of the crime scene. The state already has thousands of photographs, 3D scans, and witness testimony that could depict the scene more accurately. Well, that's true. So I guess in that case, they're not worried about. But why not just allow them? Maybe they want to make it easier for the juror to sort of digest everything. And then it says the defense argues that precedent cases, State versus Weigel, 2019, and Masters versus Dewey, 1985, do not support using such model in this case. Unlike PowerPoint presentations or simple object, let's see, the defense argues that precedent cases, State versus Weigel, do not support using such a model in this case. Wow. I mean, I guess I don't know why you would ever not allow something like that, as long as it's accurate. Unlike PowerPoint presentations or simple object recreations used in prior cases, a full 3D model introduces a risk of misrepresentation. I would say if you had a 3D model and you had body parts sitting on the, like not body parts, but like bodies of the victims, painted with blood and everything, that would be a problem. Hey, thanks, my father's alibi. That would be a problem. Let's see. Unlike PowerPoint presentations or simple object recreations used in prior cases, a full 3D model introduces a risk of misrepresentation. Allowing the model without sufficient time for the defense, I don't understand that though. Like if you just have a model that's showing a layout, I don't know why that would never, ever not be allowed. The right to a fair 5th and 14th Amendment, the right to confront evidence. All right, one more gifted membership, and we got it. 6th Amendment, Idaho Constitution, Article 1, Section 13. Conclusion, the state failed to disclose the demonstrative model in a timely manner. The model is not to scale, making it unreliable and potentially misleading. The jury could be unfairly influenced by inaccuracy visual representation. The defense has been denied a fair opportunity to challenge or verify the model. The court should deny the state's motion and prohibit the use of the model at trial. The defense is strongly opposing any use of a 3D model in court, arguing that it is inaccurate and unfairly prejudicial. If the court denies the motion, the state will not be able to use the model in the trial. And it says, if the court allows the model, the defense may seek a delay to examine and challenge the accuracy. The handling of this motion will significantly impact how the crime scene is presented to the jury. Well, why don't you just make it to scale then? Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I made one. I think this is accurate. It's, you know, doesn't have, like, I don't have the beds and dressers and everything. I'm just using it for the layout. And, like, for example, here's Dylan Mortensen, right? I mean, that shows you maybe the door was open like that. I mean, she's obviously way too tall in this picture here. It looks like she's about 6'3". Okay, you guys, one more channel membership. Then I'm gifting 5. Who will get those? Who will be the lucky winners? But we'll do it because of one of you freaks who buys that one more channel membership. Yeah, well, I mean, I always offer, like, in cases I'm really passionate about, I'll say, hey, if you guys need me to make something, that'd be great. Yeah, GSU PM just never gets one. I don't know what the deal is. Man, nobody out there? Jesus, you guys. Yeah, he looks like... oh, there we go. All right, so we're going to... and there's Lala, too. So you guys sort of tied there. I'll go ahead and... here we go. Oh, and there's Pam from New York. All right, let's see if we can finally... I'm doing 5. Genvi, allegedly Lisa, Elise Gavinsky, Mind Ya Business, and Lady Pants. Wow. Okay, well that's sorry about that, GSU PM. That's amazing. Never seen it take so long. All right, let's try one more here. Family member. Oh yeah, the family members in the courtroom. What was that all about? Wow, look at that. Allegedly Lisa gifted 5. Jane Watson, Sandy, Brandon Collins, Mallory Beavers, That Girl in Texas, and Betsy by the Sea. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's unreal. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And by the way, if you guys want to see an interesting, my father's alibi up there, if you go to her, you can probably, I think you just type that in on YouTube. Her mother's murder is like so obvious. It's one of those cases where you just, it's almost embarrassing that the prosecutors haven't picked it up. It's ludicrous. I mean, I could almost do it out of my head, you know. In that case, her mother and father were, so Alice, Allison's the person who's my father's alibi. In that case, her mother and father were sort of separated, and they had these 2 homes right next to each other. They rented one of them, and then but the mother moved out with Allison, and they lived in like an apartment, let's just say. And Allison was staying at her father's house that weekend as part of their sort of joint situation. But then her father called up her mother and said, "Hey, can you pick her up a day early? I got to go do something, whatever." And then So she goes over there. However, Allison wasn't there because he sent her to be with his uncle's house, who has the same name of Patrick, right? So that means he obviously sent her away intentionally so she wouldn't be there. If she was going there to pick her up, why would he send her away, right? So then Nancy's her name, is the mother. She goes over there to pick up her daughter Allison, and Allison isn't even there. And then the next day, somebody finds a body floating in the river. And this is in San Francisco, Foster City area. The body's floating in the bay there. And it's got like almost completely nude, wrapped up in a sleeping bag, etc. And it was unidentified. And then they put a drawing of the person in the paper, and one of Nancy's friends saw the picture and went, "Oh, wow, look at that. That looks like Nancy." And then she calls over to the husband. And meanwhile, check this thing out. Her car was seen in the driveway of the house to pick up Allison that morning, right? I mean, that afternoon, that evening. The car is in the driveway. Some neighbors saw it sitting there. And then when, it's just so incredible. And then I guess the husband, not too long after that, after the friend saw the picture in the paper, got the husband to call it in as a missing person. Then police go over to the house, and the car isn't there. They're not looking at the vehicle. But then I'm not sure if they didn't see it at that time, but he actually moved his vehicle into the other apartment. I mean, so the neighbor that was renting the apartment right next door actually sees that same car in the garage over there. And then Allison, after she came home, saw the car being pulled back into the driveway. This is after Nancy's body was found. You don't find that absolutely crazy? I mean, that is insane. And I mean, it's just this whole... And then they found clothing in the house that matched the clothing that Nancy was wearing before she went over to pick up Allison. So Allison's she was just in here a minute ago. Now, I'm sure you guys don't really give a shit about what I'm talking about, but I do. And I'm trying to work on a video, but it sucks that whenever you're talking about a case, people can't switch their minds for 30 seconds onto something else. It's always, every comment in the comment section is about Coburger. I guess that makes sense since that's what the show's about, but just letting you know, you should go check out my father's alibi on that story. It's nuts. Nancy Galvani, Galvani I at the end. So you should check it out. It's just an absolute obvious case, and this happened 1980 something, and they're starting to look into it again now. Finally, it's crazy. So I'm finishing up on a video here pretty soon in that case to put out there for her, and that case is definitely one that needs to be solved. Well, they just I have a community post where you can send a letter to the prosecutor, a thing saying, hey, but check out, it's hard. We've done live streams on it a couple times. It would be great to just get this video done so there's a quick, full story out there. Yeah, it's absolutely nuts. Hey, thanks, Mallory Beavers. Yeah, coffee's good. Yeah, that's better percentage. And looks like gaming with Avery. Oh yeah, and check it out. The father switched Allison into another school and said, don't tell your mom. And then after her mom was found dead, she started going to that school. I mean, give me a break. I mean, this is just so obvious. GSUPM gifted another membership. You should just get one for yourself. GSUPM. For some reason, all the gifting doesn't give you one. But Just Kim got one. Right. You refuse. Yeah, you're just like, if I can't win one, damn it. All right, this is the one about letting family in there. So what's it saying? This document is the defense's response objecting to and seeking modifications to the state's motion regarding which immediate family members of the victims may remain in the courtroom throughout the trial. So this really is going to be shut down, and they'll stream only appropriate stuff. You know, it's weird. The defense argues that the court's guidance should be broadened to address three main issues: defining immediate family, ensuring proper courtroom decorum, allowing Kohberger's family to be present. So basically, none of us are getting in. I can tell you that. Key arguments by the defense. Defining immediate family. The state's motion asks for clarity on which victims' family members should be considered immediate family. I would say parents and siblings, certainly, you know. The defense agrees with the state that immediate family is not clearly defined. The state list of immediate family members includes parents, step-parents, siblings, step-siblings, that makes sense, and yeah, I think you could, you know, the grandparents, you know, you could, you know, maybe not them if you want to get really, like, down to, like, you know, but I would definitely say siblings and parents, but, I mean, you should allow grandparents. I mean, Idaho case law defines immediate family inconsistently in different contexts. Generally includes parents, siblings, and children, but also sometimes includes stepchildren and adopted children. Recognizes in-laws as immediate family in victim impact statements. State versus Abdullah included step-siblings as immediate family. The defense stipulates that the individuals listed in the state's Exhibit S1 should be considered immediate family. However, they challenge the lack of... it's just like, this kind of stuff is weird. Like, why are you bitching about... I mean, it's such a petty thing to give a damn about. You know, this trial should actually be open to the public and let anybody be there. But apparently it's not. I mean, it's going to be sort of like the Delphi case, except I think it's more strict than the Delphi case. I think this one is not going to allow journalists in there, nor will there be, it's just going to be whatever they stream on their website is what we get to see. And there won't be any knowledge of, except for family members, of what else was seen. Let me do some more of these. I wonder why my Speechify... Let me see what happened to my... There it is. I guess it's not letting me sign in for some reason on the Speechify. Error. I'm going to have to figure out what's going on there. I like it when it could read it for me. Boom! Conspiracy theorists cry harder. Right. I think this motion is about having people there that also will be testifying. Nah, I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's maybe part of it, but they're actually talking about, like, you know, what family members can be in the courtroom. I mean, maybe you're right. I don't know. I haven't read the full thing. I'm just trying to do these quick summaries. Summarize in great detail this PDF file. So this is one about bushy eyebrows again. Let's see what this one says. Now, the state of Idaho filed this response in opposition to defendant Brian Kohberger's motion in limine number 7, which seeks to exclude witness Dylan Mortensen's description of the suspect, particularly the bushy eyebrow details. Around 4:19 a.m., Dylan Mortensen observed. Oh, so now they actually have a time frame. So it's around that time because that's when she actually made her first phone call, which means he had already left, so it's around that time. Dylan Mortensen observed a male figure, so she probably said, well, I called Bethany at 4:19 and he left just before that, so they're saying around that time. She described the figure as wearing black clothing and a ski mask covering the forehead and mouth. The only facial feature she distinctly recalled was bushy eyebrows. Dylan Mortensen texted and called her roommate, Bethany Funk, but only Bethany Funk responded. So she called them all, but only Bethany Funk responded. At 11:56 a.m., a 911 call was placed from the residence for an unresponsive female. The caller mentioned that someone had seen a man in the house the previous night. At 12:09 p.m., Dylan Mortensen gave statements to Officer Mitch Nunez, where she described the intruder as not insanely tall, wearing all black, and having a ski mask covering the forehead and mouth. She repeated similar, so it's not really a balaclava if it's covering the mouth. Well, yeah, I guess it is. Yeah, that is a balaclava. So you just have your sort of like the top of your nose and your eyes are going in there. She repeated similar descriptions to law enforcement 3 times that day, emphasizing the bushy eyebrows. And then, let's see. Dylan Mortensen was interviewed by Idaho State Police Detective Victoria Gooch and Moscow PD Captain Dustin Blaker. She described waking up at 4 a.m. and around 4 a.m., not at 4 a.m., and hearing a male's voice say, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." And that's just totally out of order, so that's not accurate, this breakdown here. She opened her door and saw a black-clothed figure wearing a ski mask with only eyebrows visible. She stated she could not remember eye color or other facial features, just the bushy eyebrows. Dylan Mortensen was interviewed by forensic interviewer Aaron Williamson. She reaffirmed that the intruder had bushy eyebrows, but could not recall other facial details. She also described the mask as rectangular, not circular. Interesting. So like the hole is rectangular. She stated she felt the intruder saw her because she could see his eyebrows. Well, that's the only reason she thought that. Dylan Mortensen was interviewed by ISP Detective Joe Lake, Gary Tolson. She admitted she had seen a mugshot of Kohberger online that day. When asked if Kohberger was the intruder, she responded, "I have no clue." She reaffirmed that she only remembered bushy eyebrows. Right. See, such dumb arguments by Ann Taylor. That's the only element she can remember because the person was wearing a balaclava. But isn't it relevant that she saw the bushy eyebrows? The intruder was white and male. The intruder had a basketball player-like tone build, not too skinny, not too fat. The mask covered his head and possibly his mouth or nose. The thing I can really remember was something about a bushy eyebrow. The state argues that Dylan Mortensen's testimony should be admitted for the following reasons. Witness identification procedures do not apply. And it says Manson Bigger test not triggered. The defense relied on precedents that involve suggestive police identification techniques, but no such techniques were used with Dylan Mortensen. Dylan Mortensen's description of bushy eyebrows came ironically from her own observations before Kohberger was arrested. Or organically, excuse me, not ironically. I was wondering, that didn't make sense. Organically from her own observations before Kohberger was arrested. Right. So she'd mentioned bushy eyebrows all way before he was ever arrested. So it's actually important. Since Dylan Mortensen did not positively identify Kohberger, her testimony is not tainted by suggestive procedures. Even if the Manson-Biggers test applies, Dylan Mortensen's testimony is reliable. Opportunity to observe, Dylan Mortensen was 3 feet away from the suspect. Yep, and just like this. I think it's just like that. Boom. Isn't that great, you guys, that I can pull these suckers up and immediately you guys get a representation? So she's right there. He's going to turn right. She's probably a little even closer than that. And then boom, he goes out that sliding glass door right over there. She never changed her description despite admitting she was partially intoxicated and just waking up. She described the suspect immediately and consistently for months. The identity of the killer is a key issue in the case. Dill Mortensen is the only living person who saw the intruder. Her description of bushy eyebrows makes it more probable that Kohberger was the intruder. Exactly. The defense claims that this evidence is unfairly prejudicial, but the jury is capable of weighing its importance. The state argues that just because the evidence may be harmful to Kohberger does not make it unfair. Well, you know when people say that's too prejudicial, doesn't that make you angry? You know, it's like, it's just, well, yeah, because it's, you know, I mean, it's prejudicial because it shows him doing something. However, Dill Mortensen will testify about what she personally observed, fulfilling the requirement for witness competency. Dill Mortensen is competent to testify. The court has already ruled that Dill Mortensen is competent. Despite memory lapses and trauma, she consistently recalled specific details. The jury will decide the weight of her testimony. Conclusion. The state requests the court deny the defense's motion and allow Dill Mortensen to testify about the suspect's bushy eyebrows. The state argues this description is reliable, relevant, and admissible since 1. Dill Mortensen's observations were consistent across multiple statements and interviews. Her testimony was not influenced by law enforcement procedures. The description of bushy eyebrows helps identify the suspect. The jury is capable of evaluating the reliability of her statement. Finally, a final request, the state urges the court to reject the motion and permit Dill Mortensen's testimony at trial. Key takeaways. Dill Mortensen never directly identified Kohberger as the intruder. Right, because he had a balaclava on. She consistently described bushy eyebrows as the most memorable feature. The state argues this description is reliable and should be presented to the jury. The court has previously ruled that Dill Mortensen is a competent witness. This response by the prosecution is a critical motion in the case, as it seeks to preserve key testimony from the only eyewitness. Isn't that a pretty good, another good breakdown other than that one part? Let's see. Did we do it with the Amazon one? Or did we just kind of... Let's do it with the full Amazon one. Summarize another. I don't think we did it. We just sort of read some parts. Let's see what it breaks it down. Let's see. You're saying on here? Oh yeah, we already showed that on the screen a few minutes ago. This was a, well, this is a selfie he took, apparently right after the homicide. Can you believe there's that? Look at him. There's people defending that guy. I think he looks more bushy eyebrowed than that one. Looks like a shower liner or curtain to the right. So what? Let's see. That would be a dream come true. Which one? State of Idaho has filed a response opposing defendant Brian Kohberger's motion in limine, which seeks to exclude Amazon. On November 13, 2022, law enforcement responded to 1122 King Road. A K-bar knife sheath with the United States Marine Corps USMC logo was found lying next to one of the victims. Brian Kohberger's DNA was found on the button snap of the knife sheath, linking him to the crime scene. On April 26, 2023, the state obtained a search warrant for Kohberger's Amazon account activity. The search warrant was amended on May 8, 2023 to correct minor errors. The warrant was served on May 10, 2023, and Amazon provided responsive data on June 27, 2023. The state disclosed this evidence to the defense on July 12, 2023. The Amazon click activity included in the evidence. The search warrant focused on Kohberger's activity related to knife and included click activity related to knife and accessories. Details of items added to, removed from, or saved in shopping carts. Records of product suggestions made to the account. Reviews viewed by the user, account knife-related items. Devices used to access the account. The search warrant covered March 20th, March 30th to March 30th, 2022. Kohberger was believed to have purchased a K-bar knife, and November 1st through December 6, 2022, just before and after the homicides. Amazon litigation and regulatory manager Shane Cox was disclosed as a witness to authenticate the records, so that's going to be in there. He did buy the K-bar knife sheath. The state argues that the Amazon click history is admissible for several reasons. The defense cites Idaho Rule of Evidence 106, which allows for the inclusion of additional writings or recorded statements for fairness. However, the state argues that Rule 106 applies only to statements made by a person, while Amazon click history is raw data, not a recorded statement. The state further asserts that all relevant data from Amazon has been disclosed and there's no incomplete or misleading presentation. Idaho Rule of Evidence 401 defines relevant evidence as anything that makes a fact more or less probable, like the bushy eyebrows is that. Kohberger purchase of a K-bar knife and sheath before the homicides makes it more probable that he owned the sheath found at the crime scene. Does everybody agree with that? Even you pro-burgers out there? Gray, I don't think so. I mean, I buy K-bar knife sheaths all the time, you bastard. His search activity regarding a knife sheath after the homicide suggests a potential attempt. See, look at that, you guys. His search activity regarding a knife sheath after the homicides suggests a potential attempt to replace the sheath that was left behind, because he knew he left it behind, but he's like, well, no, I still got mine. I mean, what an idiot. These facts are central to proving Kohberger's involvement in the murders. These Amazon click activity is not unfairly prejudicial. The defense claims that the evidence is misleading and unfairly prejudicial, but the state argues that it is factual, relevant, and necessary. While all relevant evidence carries some prejudice, the state contends that this prejudice is not unfair. The jury should be allowed to consider Kohberger's browsing history in determining his guilt. Hey, thank you, Theo Roy. Any plans for a video discussing those 4chan posts? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Probably not. Were they in the documents? The jury should be allowed to consider Kohberger's browsing history in determining his guilt. The state refutes the defense's argument that the Amazon searches were cherry-picked, stating that the search warrant was tailored to knife-related activity. Only evidence relevant to the homicides were included. The defense also suggests that Amazon's recommendation system influenced Kohberger's searches, You mean because he was looking up? Yeah, look at the. So listen, everybody. Kohberger was looking for knives and knife sheaths all over the place. So then Amazon picked up on his history and then suggested that in Amazon. That's hilarious. The defense also suggests that Amazon's recommendation system influenced Kohberger. No, they saw that he was looking up knife sheaths if they did, and then put one in front of him, and he clicked on it and bought it. But the state counters that an algorithm does not force a user to repeatedly search for specific items like K-bar knives and sheaths. The defense raises the issue of whether Kohberger himself conducted the searches. It was his sister looking for K-bar knife sheaths. The state argues that additional evidence, including financial records, will establish that Kohberger was the one searching for knives. Other corroborative evidence, such as Kohberger's known purchases, location data, and witness testimony, will further link him to the activity. Conclusion: the state requests that the court deny the defense's motion and allow the Amazon click activity evidence at trial. Rule 106 does not apply to raw data like click history. The evidence is highly relevant and links Kohberger to the crime. The evidence is not unfairly prejudicial and should be presented to the jury. The Amazon activity shows intent, planning, and possible concealment efforts. The response is a critical motion in the case, as it seeks to introduce digital evidence tying Kohberger to both the purchase and potential replacement of the weapon used in the murders. Now, that's something I hadn't heard, that he actually attempted perhaps to buy a replacement knife sheath. Wouldn't that be interesting if that's all he was buying, because he still has, or had at the time, that K-bar knife? I bet you he got rid of that K-bar knife sheath, that K-bar knife, after, but right before he left to go back home, and he put it someplace. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if that K-bar knife sheath is missing in that 16-minute time frame, and he meant to go get it again at another time, clean it up really well, and then get a new knife sheath out and say, "Look, I never got rid of it. It's right here." Or maybe replace the whole thing. Hey, good night, GSU PM. Thank you again for your generosity. Appreciate it. This response is a critical response. All right. What's the other one? Alternative perpetrator evidence. I think we already went through that one. Okay. Summarize another. I'm going to do the state. There's like an alibi one. There's a whole bunch out there, actually. I don't know what you're talking about. Jason, no idea. All right, this document, this one, summary of defendant's objection to state motion in limine regarding alibi. The state argues that Kohberger's alibi is vague, incomplete, improperly disclosed. Right, because they were waiting for the prosecution to put out their evidence so they could tailor, as, you know, Ann Taylor's last name, to tailor the evidence of his alibi to match what the prosecution had. Have you noticed a stark change in the alibi is we haven't heard of Wawa Park in a long time. The defense argues that Kohberger has complied with Idaho law, properly disclosed his alibi, and should be allowed to present expert testimony supporting his claim that he was not at the crime scene. Kohberger's alibi was properly disclosed June 9, 2023. The defense filed a response to the state's demand for an alibi and requested an extension to gather supporting evidence. July 24th, the defense officially filed its notice of alibi, stating that Kohberger was driving his vehicle and not in Moscow at the time of the murders. April 17, 2024, the defense filed a supplemental response with additional details. They said Kohberger regularly took nighttime drives and was driving south and west of Moscow, Idaho during the early morning hours of November 13, 2022. Cell site location information from his phone supports this claim, right, because his phone was turned off until he turned it on near Blaine. He often drove through the countryside late at night to hike, run, or view the stars, and sometimes would bring a bottle of wine, and expert witness testimony will support the alibi. The defense intends to call the legendary Cy Ray, who's been discredited in court, an expert in cell site location analysis. Kohberger's mobile device was south of Pullman, Washington, and west of Moscow, Idaho on November 13th. Well, no, it was south of Moscow, Idaho. His cell phone data does not match the vehicle captured near the crime scene. Well, of course it doesn't. Additional CSLI analysis will further support the alibi. The state has not provided all relevant CSLI data and has not produced a timing advance report. The defense argues that the lack of this report either indicates missing evidence or an intentional failure to disclose exculpatory material. The state previously suggests that Kohberger is hiding a witness, making it impossible for prosecutors to prepare for cross-examination. The defense argues that this is incorrect, as they have fully disclosed their expert witness and the basis for the alibi. I hope they're not really saying that, the state, because that makes them seem like they're scared of something. Stupid. The state's motion to exclude the alibi should be denied. The defense has complied with Idaho legal requirements by providing the state with notice. No, you didn't. We've all seen it. They've never given an alibi. Not one. Conclusion. The defense asks the court to deny the state's motion in limine. Yeah, he does suck. And allow Kohberger's alibi and expert testimony at trial. They argue that the alibi was properly disclosed and meets legal requirements. Expert testimony supports the claim that Kohberger was not at the crime scene. The state has not provided all necessary discovery, which could further support the defense. The prosecution claims that Kohberger is hiding evidence is false. This motion is critical to the defense case. All right. Well, there you go, everybody. All right. Well, thank you there, Blurry Face. I think that's going to do it for me, you guys. So thank you to Alley Cake. And hope you guys found that interesting tonight. Just kind of going through that. I'm sure I'll make some videos specifically on the vehicle motion and just whatever I can find out there that I think makes it more clear. So thanks, Alley Cake, Mallory Beavers, Mama 457 Rose. What is that? Jack 6, something like Jack Jack D65. Let's see, Buckshot, K-Me, Pam from New York, gifted a membership, then Annabella Roma, then Alley Cake, then Buckshot gifted 5, then Catherine Talk, Mama 457 Rose, then Mama something. Now I'll just put it over here so I can read it. So far away from me now. Mamasaurus Bear 64. Then Mel Bell. Then GSU PM with a cat eye. Then Michelle Dananka, new member. Then Michelle Dananka with a super chat. Then GSU PM with a cat eye, 2 in a row. She made up about 40% of the entire super chat portion, but you guys gifted a lot of memberships. K-Me, then Don Dawson, Summary Day, member for 5 months, then Summary Day gifted a membership, then Cheryl Bullock, then Paige Willow, new member, then Paige Willow gifted 5, then Pam from New York, Alley Cake, Mallory Beavers, new member, then she gifted 1, then Marcella H, H-Doc, Wise Child, KR, all gifted a membership. Then My Father's Alibi, the case I was telling you guys about, you should go check that one out on her page, you know, like she actually has, if you type in my father's alibi, and then, because she's, and she is her father's alibi. If you guys remember a minute ago when I was telling you that case, her uncle's name was Patrick. So when the police came in and said, where were you? She goes, with Patrick. They thought she was talking about her own father, because that's what she calls her father too. So they didn't realize that her biological father had sent her away to her uncle's house. Yeah, so police didn't realize that at the time. They even arrested him, but they couldn't make the stuff stick back then. Michelle Anaka, and then Brat, Lala, and Pam from New York gifted memberships. Then I gifted 5. Then allegedly Lisa gifted 5. Then GSU PM gifted another one. Then JD Wells and Mallory Beavers. JD Wells was 2 months, and then Mallory Beavers, GSU PM, gifted memberships. And Blurry Face, Thea Roy, and Blurry Face. Then over here on the coffee side of things, we had, let's see, Emily, Michael, Charlotte, Mick, and it just says someone. That's it. That's all I got. I don't know. I can't say anything. That just says someone became a supporter. So anyways, I want to say thank you to everybody who's supporting the channel tonight, and everybody else. If you could just hit that like button, that would be great too. So if you're new here, where did you send it, Jessica? Just now, or oh, that was you? No, it doesn't say that. It just says someone. Did you do 2 different 5s, Jessica? Maybe that's you. Well, thank you, Jessica. Appreciate it. So if you're watching this channel and you wonder, you know, like I keep trying to be like, hey, everybody, if you can support the channel, I'll just show you what we do here so you got an idea. See, this last year, we donated $49,811. And then 57,000 the year before, 62 the year before, 42 the year before, 22. But now we're at $234,811 to various true crime related charities in a 5-year period, which I am very proud of. But it's, you know, I know the economy isn't as good, so now it's harder to make happen. But I still try to, you know, see if we can make it happen. I'm doing more videos, you know, way more videos. So there's more ad revenue. There's more. Then we get channel memberships, all count, etc. And we have a scholarship fund that we've put $12,000 into so far, given to 5 different students. We've put almost $100,000 into a DNA fund for identifying Jane and John Does and crime and perpetrators, etc. in crimes. So there you go. You know, we're out there trying to make a difference, and I'm trying to keep making a difference by, you know, keep having my channel supported, and at the same time giving away a big portion of the income to various true crime related charities. All right, so there you go. There you have it. There's the genesis of. I mean, we do. Not only do I put out videos that I think are accurate and do a service in the true crime community so that you can actually see something that's real instead of a clown and a guy from the UK who just keep repeating stuff over and over, like coming up with conspiracy after conspiracy after conspiracy, and it's all bull crap, every bit of it. So that's something we're doing, and then we also try to make a difference to different organizations out there. All right, so thank you all for being here tonight. We'll see you guys tomorrow. And as I always say, until next time, be safe out there.
Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now. And during this whole time, I have not seen one person that is a crime dissector, thug rejector. I'm a certified human lie detector. Gonna get ya on a stretcher if you try and play me like an old projector. Crime sector is my nectar. Professor Gray is gonna give another lecture. Crime collector, freak connector, and I'm always gonna be a pup protector. Fool deflector, interceptor, and I'm meaner than a spectre with a vector on his pector. ya. With all respect, ya. Just remember I've a temper fucking check ya. I have no agenda, I'm no pretender, and I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender. Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. All right, everybody? Talk to you later.
All right, you guys. We'll see you guys later.